Good morning. Welcome to the Techno Fundamental Report for May the 23rd. The subconscious mind. We don't want to underestimate the subconscious mind. You know, it's where over so many years of experience of investing in the stock market, you you develop a subconscious ability that is hard to duplicate. I would always recommend that people, when they first start out, probably use mutual funds, and also, if they do venture into individual securities, develop a mentor relationship with someone that does have a lot of experience. It's like this. You don't put your hand on a hot stove because your subconscious mind tells you not to. Now, Livermore was really big on this subject, and he said it isn't a hunch, but the subconscious mind, which is the creative mind at work. That is the mind which makes artists do things without their knowing how they came to do them. Perhaps with me, it was the cumulative effect of a lot of little things, individually insignificant, but collectively powerful. He's right. I mean, this is, when it comes to the little things that you just don't normally think about, and then you look back and go, hey, that was important. Sigmund Freud was a big studier of the unconscious mind, and basically the way he explains it is that it's like a water fountain. It's where the water goes up into the air, collects experiences, and then comes back into the subconscious mind. So just kind of looking at what this is, Battle for Investment Survival, Gerald Loeb, he says really top flight investors are no more frequent proportionally than capable Army generals, Navy admirals, doctors, scientists, lawyers, artists, composers, and musicians. Think about being back in the 1800s and you need to hire a lawyer. You're in a lot of trouble. You'd probably want to hire Abraham Lincoln. I would. Then you look at, like, we're going to war. Who do we want to get as our lead general? I would say Eisenhower. And then if you were going to have heart surgery or a heart transplant, you wouldn't want to hire a guy that's only done one or two. You'd want to hire a guy that's probably done thousands. Now think about, being a fighter in a Roman Colosseum, a gladiator. Now you're going out there for the first time, or you've been in training for an extended period of time. But my point would be this is a life or death situation. I mean, you're going into a battle. You've never done it before. You need to make sure you're trained properly, and like I say, you need to find a mentor that can help you with this. Just when you find the key to the market, they change the locks. Gerald Loeb. Again, back to experience, because like what we're dealing with today with, artificial intelligence and NVIDIA and so forth, really looks like 1995 all over again. It's not 1999, but 1995. You have to have experience to understand that. Everything has a price. It's just what you're willing to pay for it. That's the bottom line is price is everything. You should use technical analysis as a way to analyze the price. It says, while investors can attack the market from a million different angles, the fact is the market moves based on the law of supply and demand, selling pressures versus buying pressures. Thus, when stocks are in a sustained uptrend, there's no doubt that buyers are active, and the reverse is true during sustained downtrends. So, again here, what we're trying to say is that price is important because and this is a hard thing to get your head around, is the stock is not the company. Now, there's a correlation to the corporation's earnings and so forth, but you've got to deal with the fact that you've got buyers and sellers that take control at different times. So this is one of our indicators that I want to mention. This is the new lows on the New York Stock Exchange. The whole purpose of this indicator is to determine when does the selling stop. In other words, you've got new lows here. So these are the number of new lows on the New York Stock Exchange on a given day. We have found over time when that number starts to get above 40, it's pretty much telling you that the sellers are coming in. However, when you go through an extended period of new lows, you can pretty much say, well, maybe the selling's done here. So that's the purpose of that indicator. So let's look at the market here. Here's the NASDAQ. Recently hit an all-time new high, kind of intraday, in a strong uptrend, basically above both moving averages. We'll talk more about the NVIDIA earnings, which came out last night, and the stock is up after hours. So the NASDAQ is really benefiting from the technology boom that AI is bringing about. We think we're in the early stages of this. We think it's going to be an interesting period. It could be the catalyst for the next growth stock cycle, which would be a bull market. Now, here's the small caps. You can kind of see they've sold off here. Again, that's an important group that we've been keeping an eye on. Hit a new high, but then pulled back. We're going to continue to keep an eye on the small cap stocks, but they look okay. They're pulling back a little bit here short term. S&P 500. You can see the continuing of the uptrend, hitting a new high, looks very positive. The main trend is still up, so even though we went through this correction in this period right here, the main trend is up. As long as we're above that 200-day moving average on both indexes, which is the NASDAQ and the S&P, the main trend is up. So you want to stay optimistic. Now, we're talking here a little bit about NVIDIA. Now, it came out with earnings last night, and in after hours trading and early this morning, we're up here. Okay, so the reaction has been good. When an earnings report comes out, you want to look at, it's not the news of the earnings report, it's the reaction to the earnings report. Now, you have what you call an initial reaction, which is what we're having now, which NVIDIA is up about 6-7% in early trading. That's the initial reaction. But then you have what you call the final reaction, which would be the closing price. So I would say on NVIDIA, it will be interesting to watch that stock today. Now, one of the things about NVIDIA is we think it's kind of like a Cisco Systems back in 1995. There's going to be a whole plethora of companies that are in technology, involved in technology, that we think are going to benefit from this build-out of these data centers. Without the data centers, you don't have artificial intelligence. You've got to have these data centers. So Celestica is an electronics component company that provides electronic components to these data centers. Here's another stock. Now, this is a stock we've been just kind of noticing. Monday.com. Again, look at the reaction to the earnings. Very positive. And then the final reaction was actually pretty darn positive. In other words, it didn't, crater back down here. And then now it's starting to move up. So Monday.com came out with a really good earnings report. Now, we would say, in our opinion, this stock looks a little extended here. We'd want to try to see if it can consolidate a little bit. Now, here's another company that is really benefiting from the artificial intelligence build-out. Now, what we're trying to say is that when you look at a company, we think the most important number you can look at when you're looking at a company is the market capitalization. So this company's market cap is $37.5 billion. Now, the question I ask myself is, can I double that market cap? Can this company double its market cap? Well, that would mean it would go to about $80 billion, which pretty much happens more often than you would realize. It happens a lot. Whereas when you have NVIDIA, which is currently at around $2 trillion, you have to ask the question, can it go to $4 trillion? Now you ask another question, can the stock go up tenfold? So with Vertiv, which is, they provide thermal management and electronic management of these data centers. Can Vertiv go to roughly $400 billion? Maybe. But can NVIDIA go to $20 trillion? That's the kind of the question you have to ask yourself, because if you're going to take the risk of the stock market, you kind of have to have that attitude, because if you don't, you're probably going to end up with some real mediocre stuff. First Solar, again, what's going on here is there weren't any earnings reports here. It was just simply the fact that people are starting to realize how much demand electricity is going to be for the AI build out. So First Solar, it seems to be very popular. No, they make a solar film that is used in industrial type products. In other words, this isn't, they don't really make panels that go on top of residential homes. They make these large systems that are used basically by utility companies. So that's it. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you very much.